Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. This is new. It's been a while. I've been focusing a bit more on making currency than making videos, but I assure you the videos are going to be coming out in a fairly regular basis starting right now. I'm sporting a caustic arrow magic find build, which is exactly what I set out to do at league start. I am using a strategy right in alignment with what I was expecting at league start, but the league has proven to be a little more difficult than average because we have a great, worthwhile league mechanic that is very demanding on our builds, especially for juicing and especially for magic finding. And this build is quite in need of a little bit of help, a little bit of borrowed power for this league mechanic. So I am using the good old, very old tech of the Gull Helm, and I'm doing something I've never done before, actually using the Blunderbore chest with it, and then of course using an Elegant Hubris in the back end to help support the chest's terrible downside, because this comes with the great benefit of having Supreme Ostentation with it, so we can kind of eliminate any issues there. This is, of course, an Elegant Hubris is what I want to use if I'm magic finding anyway, so this tech could be very useful for you. If you can fit it into a helm and chest slot, it can give you a lot of great power, and I'm about to showcase it in a map. There is an Atlas strategy what I'm doing. I'll have that linked in the description as well as the POB for this character. But again, this is not a full-blown showcase of the character. We're not there yet. Got a little ways to go. I'll come out with that video before Headhunter probably. But I think you will be impressed with how this build performs under these circumstances with this league mechanic without, the immense power that a Headhunter, for example, or even a Mage Blood can bring for you. So let's start with just pulling down here so you can see as a preface what's going on here. I'm using Gloom Shrine, of course, to help me with this endeavor. You might have noticed that those two items that I mentioned, the Gull Helm and the Blunderbore, have increased effective shrines, a total of, well, up to 150% increased effective shrines. And in conjunction with the Gloom Shrine is actually pretty insane, because I believe every single line here that is written in light blue is in fact impacted by increased effective shrines. In the case of 40%, driving it all the way up to 100% chance for enemies to explode, dealing not 10%, but a quarter of their life. Now, you think about how good the Occultist Ascendancy is. This is the Occultist Ascendancy on multiple steroids. I mean, this is absolutely insane. There is no explode in the game that is this impactful, this powerful. 100% chance for a quarter of their life is chaos. There's nothing in the game like it. So it is a form of borrowed power, and it's a limited time only. But if you employ a specific strategy on a specific layout, map layout, you can make full-blown use of this in your map clearing. It also comes with the 10% non-chaos damage as extra chaos damage. Now my build is doing basically 100% chaos damage, but this is a pretty crazy equivalent to an Unholy Might buff, an added Unholy Might buff, so that could be very powerful for your character. The Gull Helm spawns random little shrines, and they are also impacted by the immense increased effect from the Gull Helm itself and Blunderbore. And these are really powerful. Blunderbore, in the case of that item, already comes naturally with a lesser brutal shrine and a lesser massive shrine, which is giving me a huge pool of life. I don't know if you know this, but I've never ran a magic find character with, somewhere around 70% increased quant, 300% increased rarity. I've never ran a character like that with over 5,000 life. Even on an 8 mirror budget, it never happened. And I mean, there are a variety of reasons for that. Sometimes you don't need to have that much life, but there's a nice side effect of running this item. This chest in particular doesn't look all that appealing, but it does give an incredible amount of life, especially in conjunction with the Gull Helm, with that lesser massive shrine, as well as this mastery here. So in recent times, this chest has become more appealing because it does not have a life roll on it. We used to look at things like this and say, oh, well, it doesn't even have a life roll on it. It's not that great, right? So that's a lot different now than the way it used to be. But anyway, let's pull it down. We'll do a map showcase for you. I'm going to be using a strategy. It involves Divination, Torment, Reliquary, and Ambush. That should look pretty familiar to you. Of course, Enraged Strongbox is on the agenda. And this is not an 8-mile corrupted map. This is not a Wandering Path strategy. I'm trying not to make this too hard on myself. I think Wandering Path is great and worth doing if your build already just utterly smashes the content. But you don't have to feel like it's obligatory, especially with the investment costs being as cheap as they are, before week 1 is even finished. So this is, again, focused on shrines, strong boxes. Ghosting is on the side, a little Harbinger on the side, blocking all the mechanics. And it proves to be quite nice strategy I'm going to show you here. And hopefully we have a good showcase for the league mechanic. So it's a bit of RNG, of course. But anyway, ambush on the map device. This is technically a 6-modded, high pack size 6-modded map, Eater of Worlds. And let's go in and see what happens here. So I am using my shield swap tech with, let's see, I guess it's using Wind Wall, I think it is. Yeah, the Advancing Fortress and, oh, Mist Wall is what it's called. And getting a little bit of Fortify, not much though. Okay, right now I'm going around trying to pick up the Nico stuff. I almost forgot to mention I'm using Nico's Packed with Energy, of course, to give myself even more borrowed power. A lot of, you know, borrowed power going on here. Alright, so I got those buffs, and now I'm going to go in, get a couple of Val Caustic Arrows up, get Malevolence on Inspiration Support up, and while he's doing his little thing, I'm just going to blitz him down pretty easily. Whoa. Taking a lot of damage over time, however. Gotta watch out for that. Okay, and next I'm going to go back into the League Mechanic. Now, the reason I do the boss first is because, well, it's Cemetery. The boss isn't that far away. I can also scout the map out anyway and get those Packed with Energies right off the bat before I go into the Wildwood. And if I do the Wildwood first and the boss becomes, you know, empowered, and it doesn't work out so well for me. Okay, try to find the trails. I like focusing on yellow and blue mostly. Here we go. I see a lot going on up here. Little shrine here. Let's see just how much this gives me. It's 83 all res. I went from 75 to 83 all res just from that. And I have that for almost an entire minute, which is pretty crazy. Alright, so this has proven to be a pretty good, actually a very nice one. Okay, with the free juice there. Apparently you can kind of take your time in these. It's not that big of a deal. I don't think it's time-based. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, those are good to hit too. On there. This is already proven to be above average on this run, so it'll be nice. The more juice you put into the map, the harder the map becomes. Okay, it looks like that's just all dead end there. Not seeing a trail at all here. I guess it's back to the beginning. So I'm kind of navigating this and sometimes going a little bit above and beyond on trying to get as much juice as I can out of the maps. It's not necessary. Usually things like this, it's better to just kind of go through it fast than go through it methodical in some cases. But anyway, I'm just going to let it run out here. There we go. Okay, but anyway, that's pretty nice. Pretty nice in there. Alright, so now it's on, right? And you might notice there's a lot of ghosts floating around. You might notice I can actually see things on the minimap. I'm going to make a separate video talking about how awesome that is. So I got to be a little cautious here how I grab the shrines because I don't want to die in the process of doing it. You'll notice that with this build, one of the reasons I chose this build is because it's going to be absolutely exceptional for ghosting. Even though ghosting was nerfed a little bit. Makes it a little bit less appealing to do it in front of the map, at the beginning of the map. Quant rarity always in this case, especially if you're not running Wandering Path. But you might notice that I'm not killing ghosts. Like, ever. I basically can't. Because they don't take any damage from sort of dot on the ground effects here. Alright, this is a pretty nasty mob infused here. But anyway, I think we're about to start, and you'll notice that the Gloom Shrine is going to make easy work of these shrines. Oh, duped Exalted Orb. Feels bad, man. And the little mobs can go around and kill the big mobs that spawn out, like the Harbinger mobs or, you know, rogue exiles that come out of here. Almost died right there. That was pretty crazy. Finally got the speed shrine, so I can show you a little bit of speed. This is a lesser speed shrine, or action shrine. But especially with Blunderbore on, it's crazy strong. All right, a lot of rares here, a lot of infused rares, so this could be pretty spicy. But I do have the Val Caustic Arrow, which if I throw it right on top of an enemy, it's usually going to kill him. A Dragon's Heart. Not what I want. Just realized my Malevolence hasn't been going off because I got a little bit of mana issues right now. Oops, forgot about some ghosts, but they last a long time. You know, the ghosting meta is going to be shifting a little bit, I think. It's going to be a little bit more about letting the ghosts ride around and grab mobs themselves. and then coming back later to get him. Another Empowered Rogue Exile. Now, a lot of Empowered Rogue Exile is giving you guys some crazy problems when you open strong boxes. It did me too. It did as well. And I think with Toxic Rain, I was running double Toxic Rain. I could handle it in the beginning, but the Gloom Shrine really helps with that. Quite often, I open a strong box, Rogue Exile pops out, and it's infused and everything, and it just dies instantly because it took on 100% chance for monsters around it to explode, dealing a quarter of their life. And when, you know, there's like 17 monsters around that die at once next to it, it's dead. Alright, we got another baddie over here. This is the worst scenario right here, is whenever, you know, I got one that's still alive. I just kind of have to contend with it. I think he might get me here. I'll be a little bit surprised if I survive that. Oh, okay. Normally I would have died there and probably suffered one death. So I almost died once before. I probably should have died on that Rogue Exile. This would be like a 2-death map normally. And a pretty tough map. Harder than average, for sure. But here are the map mods. I don't think they're terribly difficult. But anyway, I'm going to pour it out because I'm focusing on making videos. So that's going to be it for this one. And again, you got the Atlas here. If you want, you can take a snapshot of that. You got the PoE, all the gear is here, and it's focused on the Gull and Blunderbore and how incredible those items can be for helping you get through a map that is maybe a little bit too hard for your build. And it's definitely been a great crutch for me. I'm going all the way with it this league. One more thing I forgot to mention with the Elegant Hubris. Now, this is the seed I'm using. You don't have to use the seed. This is definitely not the best seed out there. And I'm not even really focusing on rarity. I'm focusing on getting spell suppress capped and focused on things like endurance charge, because I dropped Darius' Defiance, so I get endurance charge back into the build this way. Also focusing on things like chaos res, and then these are up here because, you know, I'm taking the masteries anyway for them. So very nice Elegant Hubris, a little bit point heavy, but serving me very well in my build, and I'm really happy with how it's turned out. And I can't wait to take on the league with a little bit stronger characters to continue gearing up, get a headhunter, maybe swap over to tornado shot, something like that. I don't know exactly yet, but I don't know. We'll see. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you using some of this crazy borrowed tech energy? The Gull Helm, Blunderbore, that combo, and as well as Nico's packed with energy. Can't forget about that. Very, very useful in these, but you can't do this one if you're doing Wandering Path. Keep that in mind. But anyway, let me know how you're doing in the comments below. I know a lot of you are struggling. Hopefully we can all help each other get through this league mechanic, better understand it, and we'll be well on our way to making tons and tons of currency. I made a lot of currency in that map, as you could just see. Even with not the greatest orange, the wrong divination cards and the wrong currency dropped. Still did good. All right, that's it for now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.